Okay, now we're going to start laying out our blueprint measurements on the plywood. So you should have the nicest face of your plywood faced up for this. And in front of me I have my room all blueprint that I've been working on. So you'll see here these highlighted sections are all my converted measurements that we did, and I converted them from feet and inches to just the inch and the fraction. Okay, and I went around my whole blueprint and I made a note of all those measurements. Now the goal for today is to only lay out just the perimeter of our blueprint. Okay, we're not doing anything other than just the perimeter of our blueprint. If you think about it, we're going to frame over this, so there would be no point in marking the inside walls if all that's going to be eventually covered. Okay, so we're only going to focus on just the perimeter shape of our blueprint right here. Now, as you can see, this blueprint has this little bump out over here. Okay, so this little bump out over here. I advise you to start with a section of your blueprint that is fairly easy to navigate. Okay, so if I have this in mind, I'm going to stay away from this section just for now. Now I have a few options here. This corner here has this little jog in it, and so does this one, so I'm going to stay away from that. And I have two sections down here that look pretty nice to start with. I have this corner and this corner over here. So I'm going to start with this corner here, and I'm going to start laying out my measurements for this back wall of my house. By doing it this way, it gives me like a foundation point to work off from there. Okay, so I'm going to pick this location, and you might have to hold your blueprint in a different navigation to your plywood with this, but this is the point that I'm going to start with. And if I look at my plywood here, this is the corner that corner is going to start with right here. Okay, so just get yourself navigated correctly with your blueprint and where your corner is going to start. Okay, so this is the corner and this is where I'm going to start. Put this at the side for a minute. Now, the way I like to do this, I like to leave a little bit of a reveal line for where the foundation goes on. You can't really see this in this video, but I like to leave a little bit of a reveal line around this. And the way I start out by doing this, I'm going to mark over. I'm going to right to the edge here. I'm going to mark over with a ruler 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch. You can't really see that. I'm going to mark from this side as well 1/2 inch. Okay, I'm going to connect those 2 points. Now right here is where the corner of my house would be. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but right where the tip of my pencil is, that's where the corner of my first measurement is going to be. So you can see right on my blueprint, right there would be represented right there on my blueprint. Okay, and it just gives you that little bit of a step in to kind of move things around, and it makes it look a little nicer as well. Okay, so there's my first measurement right there. So if I look at my blueprint, the first measurement I'm going to have, and remember you have two options here. You can add in the 7/16 for the wall thickness. Okay, remember we talked about that in the conversion video. Or you could just go straight in with it and just start measuring out these measurements. Okay, me being me, I'm going to add in my 7/16 measurement. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with my ruler is just mark 7/16. Okay, again, don't worry about this being exact for now. So there's 7/16. I'm just going to do a nice light mark for now. Next measurement here, remember I'm working over from one side to the next. Okay, so I started with this one. Next measurement is 9 3/4 inch. Okay, so I'm going to use my ruler. Now this time I'm going to carry on from where I left off. I'm not going to start here. I'm going to go over from where that 7/16 mark was. And I have 9 3/4 inch. So 9 3/4 inch is right here. 9 3/4 inch is right there. My next measurement is a wall measurement. So you can see this is 7/16 wall right here. So I'm going to use my ruler, mark 7/16. Nice and light. I advise you use a pencil for this, and until you're definite on where these locations are, don't do a heavy line, just do a nice light line. You can see I'm definite with this one, but it's just a shadow line for that one. Okay. Now my next measurement here is 11 and 15 sixteenths for this wall over here. Let me just move this camera here so you can see this side. So this is 11 and 15 sixteenths. So if I hold this on this end from where I left off last time, 11 and 15 sixteenths. I want to get this nice and precise. 11 and 15 sixteenths is right there. There you guys can see that? Right there, okay? So there you have it. There's from one corner to the next. And that's a pretty easy wall to do. The last thing I would want to do here with this wall is just add in that thickness again for that wall one. And that's just how I'm choosing to do mine. So it was 7/16 for the wall thickness, which is right there. And there you go, guys. I don't know if you can see, there's a 1/2 inch reveal there. Okay, so if you kept your blueprint in those measurement requirements that we talked about, it should fit onto your blueprint, onto your piece of plywood right here. Now it's time to start connecting all of these lines together. And without the use of a square, you can do all this with a ruler. I don't know if is that better so you can see that. You can just do this with a tape measure or a ruler. So you can see there's my first anchor point. We came up 1/2 inch here. So there's my second wall location. I'm also going to mark 1/2 inch where that comes up here. I want this to be nice and parallel when I do this. Nice straight line. So I'm not going to do this in a whole run. I'm just going to mark this out section by section. I'm going to hold my ruler down. And I'm just going to line this up. It's just nice and neat. My ruler's got a bit of a bow to it. Let's flip it this way. And you don't have to use a ruler. You can use anything with a good straight edge to it. But I'm going to start off with my measurement right there. The more I get confident with that's where I want it to be, the darker I can make that pencil line. I have a good long straight edge here. It's just a piece of plywood, so I'm going to use this. You use whatever you have in your house to do this. I'm using this here, nice big piece of plywood. You can use a ruler, anything that makes a nice long edge. There you go, and that's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to move this over so you can see my next line here. And this time we go right to the edge. Remember, I've got to mark up 1/2 inch. So that way I know everything is parallel and square. You guys can see this. So that's that line lining up there. You want this to be nice and accurate. I'll tell you this, guys, if this stage of your project is not accurate, the rest of your house will be inaccurate as well. Think about it, this is the foundation of your house. If this isn't square, the first floor isn't square, walls won't be square, roof won't be square, okay? So spend your time and get this right, okay? Spend your time, get this right. If you have to use an eraser, erase the line, use a bit of sandpaper, erase your markings. Do this as many times as you need to get this looking really, really nice, okay? So there's my first wall located out on my plywood. Let me zoom out here so you can see. There you go, you can kind of see that. There I started with my 1/2 inch coming over, 7/16. I did my first measurement to here, added on the 7/16, my second measurement, and then I added on the 7/16 for the thickness of the wall at the end there. Okay, that's my first wall done, and that's why I'd recommend you start with the easiest wall in your house, a nice straight wall, because from here on out we can start adding in the next segment as we go along. Okay, to do the next segment, it's going to be a case of looking at your blueprint. So if I'm holding this in the same orientation as my plywood, I started with this wall right here, so I would either pick the left or the right here, it doesn't really matter on my one. I would pick a left or a right, and I would just continue from this anchor point here, and I'd work my way around. Remember the thickness of the walls if you want to do that. Okay, so I'd add in my 7/16 here. I would then, same thing with this. This one was my first measurement. I did my 7/16 second measurement, 7/16 at the end. Okay, and that will give me the run for that wall. The whole time while you're doing this, make sure that is 1/2 inch reveal on this wall section, because you want that to be nice and parallel when we're doing this. You don't want to end up putting this on here and it's skew like this, okay? It just doesn't look nice, okay? So just make sure it's nice and square when you're doing it. And I'm telling you guys, if you have to change a measurement or two to make it square. I'd rather you have this square than uneven. Okay, don't worry if these measurements don't line up perfectly every time. I want you to get this square more than anything. Okay, use this as just as a guideline. You can kind of tweak it as you go. Some of you might have this spot on, and some of you might have to correct a couple of things here or there. Okay, but that's the stage we're going to focus on here. Is just transferring all those measurements on the plywood. In the next video, I will show you this completed. I'll show you this all completed and what it should look like once you're all finished with this. Okay. After this stage, and you're happy with this, you're going to start doing the foundation sections, these pieces that I gave you here. I would spend a good 3 or 4 days getting this really, really nice, guys. I'm telling you, okay, really, really nice. Don't rush into this. Okay, it's like I said, you want this to be really accurate and precise. Because if it's not, like I said, the rest of your house won't be. Okay, so get this really nice. Spend a good amount of time doing this. Once you're happy with it, make sure those lines are nice and prominent. You can see what's going on. Okay. Right. I'll see you in the next segment, which is all about foundations. Okay. Take care, guys.